Mike Singer, BlueandGold.com, joined by Notre Dame's two most recent commitments in the 2022 class, Eli Raridon, Notre Dame's double legacy tight end commitment. Of course, father played at Notre Dame, grandfather strength and conditioning coach for Notre Dame under Lou Holtz. And Holden Staes, another tight end commit for the Irish, Atlanta Westminster. Holden, real quick, I mean, when you see a picture of Tommy Tremble, are you like, is he like my long lost brother? I mean, you guys look similar, you play similar, you're both from Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure. I had no idea who he was before I got the offer, and then they started comparing me to him, and then we started talking on the phone a little bit. We kind of sound similar, go to a similar school out of high school, and then yeah, the facial stuff. Yeah, I would say we look alike for sure.
All right. Well, let's kind of talk about you guys in your recruiting process. So, I mean, we'll start with Eli. You committed to Notre Dame May 2nd, day after the Irish spring game. So, Eli, just tell us about picking Notre Dame. Why was that the choice for you?
Yeah, so obviously my top three schools were the in-state schools and Notre Dame. So I took those unofficial self-guided visits. Wasn't really expecting to make a decision because I was pretty confused. But after the Notre Dame trip, with my dad playing there, the tight end success they have, and me just being a diehard fan, after going there from like a player's perspective, I mean, I really just like fell in love with the place and just couldn't see myself going anywhere else. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me after that trip. So that's when I decided.
So, Holden, your recruitment, Penn State commitment right before the start of your junior season, backed off that pledge in February. 5 days later, you get the offer from Notre Dame, and then about a month later, you pretty much do in your mind you're committing to Notre Dame, and then announced it just a couple days ago. So, tell us about your recruiting process and how you landed on Notre Dame.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, a few days after I made the decommitment, Notre Dame kind of just jumped on me. And after they made the offer, the relationship picked up steam pretty quick. Me and McNulty and Reese were talking, every day, doing 2 to 3 Zooms a week before, I made the decision, that Notre Dame was a place for me. But in terms of getting to the decision, I took a self-guided tour probably 2 months ago now to this point. And when I went up there, I was able to meet with all the players from Atlanta. Michael Mayer too, and just hearing their perspective, heard nothing but good things. And then just in terms of their pitch to recruit me, the success they had at the position, what they're doing with the program, playoff 2 of the last 3 years, and then just the prestige of the academics. So kind of like what Eli said, after I made the trip up there, heard everything I heard from them, it was a no-brainer.
Now, you guys are both taking official visits as well. Same weekend, June 18th?
Yep.
So I'm sure you guys are excited to, meet each other, meet Steve Angeli, who I know recruited both of you guys pretty hard, and a bunch of other Notre Dame recruits. That's going to be probably the biggest recruiting weekend of the year for Notre Dame on the 18th. So I want to talk about the timeline a little bit for you guys. So Eli, your commitment date for Notre Dame, and this is when you posted it on Twitter and everything, May 2nd. Holden, yours was May 8th. I'll go to Holden first. So, like you said, you took that self-guided tour in about 2 months ago, so early March. You were pretty much in the boat, silently for Notre Dame for quite some time, and I know you wanted to have family involved in your commitment video, which I thought was outstanding, by the way. So, what can you guys tell me about the timeline? Because you guys had probably been talking a little bit even back and forth. So, I mean, Holden, about announcing, because again, you announced your decision May 8th, but you knew you were in the boat for a while.
Yeah. I committed probably like two months ago. I made my visit. Then probably 2 or 3 weeks after I made the visit to Notre Dame, Texas, which was kind of my close second school, I made that visit. And then right after I got home from Texas, I thought about it for like 2 or 3 days. And then after that, I made the call to McNulty and Reese. I was like, yeah, I'm coming. But right when I told them that, I was like, I really want to make a commitment video. This is something I dreamt of for a while. So I just told them, I want to wait for my family to come in town and all that. So they were cool with it. And then, I'm about to post in a week, and then I get the call from McNulty. He's like, yo, Eli's about to commit. And then Eli committed the day after. So I was like, oh, guess he's the first one out in the public. But it all worked out good.
So Eli, what did you know about Holden, when you were going through your recruiting process? Because I'm sure you knew Notre Dame was taking 2 tight ends.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I've talked to McNulty a lot, and they made it known that me and Holden were their only top two targets. So I knew about Holden. I've always known about Holden, and it wasn't until a couple weeks ago when we really started talking on Twitter just for a little bit. We haven't talked, a lot, but we've talked about some things. But yeah, I mean, McNulty and Reese made it pretty clear that we're the two guys they want. So
Gotcha. So what Holden? What are those conversations like when you're talking to Eli? Because it's like that's going to be your buddy at Notre Dame, but also the competition. So what are those conversations like?
Like he said, I mean, we've only talked, really briefly yet. We haven't really chopped it up too much other than, we're kind of in the same boat, making commitment, where we just go from there. But, at the end of the day, we're both, competing for the same spot, but we're only going to make each other better. So, I'm not too worried about that, clashing heads or anything like that.
Sure. So I guess one of your guys' first conversations right here on our Blue and Gold YouTube page. So glad to have you guys on. Eli, let's talk about those Notre Dame coaches a good bit. McNulty, Reese. Of course, Coach Reese was the guy who offered you in February, and then like you had told me before, Coach McNulty kind of took over your recruitment. So what do you think about those two guys, and what do you remember about when you told them, "Hey, I want to commit," and just how excited were they?
So yeah, I mean, Reese was the one who reached out to me first on Twitter. It was out of the blue completely. I mean, Notre Dame was not in the picture for me. I was focused on a couple of schools, in-state schools, some other schools too. But when he texted me, awesome, cool. I knew it was coming, but also at the same time, I kind of was skeptical. But yeah, he offered me. We've obviously talked for a while with him and McNulty, but after the offer, McNulty would call me individually more often than Reese would, but we always do Zooms all together when Reese can make it. But yeah, so when I called and committed, it was Friday. So I announced 2 days after I committed, really. But I called Reese first, and Reese kind of saw it coming. I was like, I told him I was really high on Notre Dame. Just give me a couple days to settle and pray about this. So about 5 days after I took the visit Friday, I called Reese, and he was pretty pumped up. But I called McNulty afterwards, and he was like, I was like, Coach, I really fell in love with the place, and I said I'm committing, and he was like, sound like 5 seconds. He was like, committing to Notre Dame. I was like, yeah. So he was, sorry, it was kind of cool, but so yeah, that's kind of the story of my commitment. So.
Holden, you're probably gonna have to look back to like your 12th birthday to remember when you told McNulty and Reese you were coming. But I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
what do you remember about that moment?
Yeah, so I text like we have like a little group chat, me, McNulty, and Reese. So I just texted them both. I was like, it was like Sunday morning. It was like 10 o'clock. I was like, yo, can y'all like group FaceTime at like 6 tonight? And they were like, yeah, what's up? I don't know if they really knew what was going on. It's kind of like what Eli said. Like after I decommitted, Notre Dame was not in the picture at all for me. I hadn't had an offer from them. They hadn't talked to me at all up until the offer. So, they weren't really a school I was considering, but then, right when they offered, I kind of fell in love with it right away. So when I called them up, like on the group FaceTime, I was like, yeah, I made my decision. I'm committing. And kind of like what Eli said, I mean, Nolte was like driving from the airport, and he like was like in shock for a second. And then he was like, all right, let's go. And then Reese was jumping around. He was hyped. So yeah, it was a good time.
So what school's tight end you out there?
Notre Dame for sure.
Yeah, Notre Dame for sure.
And you guys looking to continue that? Tell me about what you guys are looking forward to about playing at Notre Dame.
I would say the biggest thing. Yeah, I got you. The biggest thing I'm looking forward to, obviously just continuing the tradition of the position at Notre Dame. As soon as I step on campus, I'm going to work as hard as I can to, make sure that that tradition continues. I'm excited for the schedules that we play. The national schedule. I've already looked at the schedule. For one freshman, we got Ohio State, Clemson, USC, North Carolina, all in the same year. Like, I'm just excited to play that national schedule and just get after it and, try to get the program to the national championship and win the whole thing.
I'll go. Yeah, I'm really excited on the tight end tradition. Notre Dame ever starting tight end since 05 has been drafted, and I know me and Holden are going to work as hard as we can to continue that, and I'm really excited. Be a lot of tight end play. We have a great recruiting class, and I think with that schedule we're playing, the schedule is going to be top notch, better than anyone in the country. But I really think we got a chance to, go out and really compete for a national championship. So I'm excited about that.
All right, and I'm Mike Singer, and I've been joined by Notre Dame's 2 tight end commits in the 2022 class, Eli Raridon Holden Staes. Really appreciate you guys joining me.